Hey everyone, welcome to Shelf Space with Kino Lorber, where we talk about all things physical media with Kino Lorber's head of acquisitions, Frank Tarzi. Today is a very, very special episode. As you can see, we are filming in sunny LA at Vidiots. Vidiots is not only the video store of your childhood dreams, it's also a cinema. It's a community hub where people gather around their shared love of film and physical media. And we're here talking to Executive Director Maggie Mackay. So excited to have you here.
Thank you.
So we're also going to be answering audience questions. So thank you to those who submitted a question ahead of time. If you would like to submit a question for a future episode, please sign up for our newsletter to get on our email list. And please subscribe to the Kino Lorber YouTube channel. If you have a customer service question, you can submit it at the link in the video description below. Hi, Maggie.
Hi.
And hi, Frank. Frank is also here. So we usually start out by asking, how do you guys know each other? This is the first time you're like meeting, but you know, Kino Lorber we're big fans of Vidiots. Vidiots has known about Kino Lorber. I feel like this union was inevitable.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us like how you guys have actually worked together in the past. I'd love to hear that story.
Yeah, well, Frank just shared that he was, selling Vidiots material. Frank, what years was that?
I started originally when I was the head of sales, 1997 till 2010. Then I left Kino for 4 years and came back in 2014 as acquisitions. So I didn't meet with all the small stores regularly because, they didn't buy directly from us. They bought, I think Vidiots may have bought directly from us once in a while, but most of the time it was through Ingram, but sometimes they would order directly from us, especially if they needed something quickly or a customer request or something like that. And so my thing was whenever I went on my business trips, like when I went to Los Angeles to meet with Virgin Megastore and anybody else, any other big accounts that were in Los Angeles, I would, their headquarters was there. I would also go to some of the stores, of course the big stores like the Tower Record ones and the Virgin store, but I was also go to the smaller stores to just check them out to see what they look like, what they're doing. My background was from video stores. I was, before Kino, I was the head buyer for Kim's Video. Started as a manager. Within a month, I was the head buyer. So it was an experience. We opened Mondo Kim's a year before I left, and then I kind of gave them my notice and went to Kino for And it was kind of funny because I enjoyed buying a lot more than I did sales. Buying is people always kind of, they take you out to dinner. You get free passes to shows and movies and stuff like that. And as a salesperson, you pretty much have to do the opposite. You have to take people to dinner and you have to kind of wine and dine them. And it was So when I joined Kino in '97, I was the head of sales, but very quickly I said I need to also be involved in acquisitions. So because if we're going to grow as a company, you guys have to listen to my opinion because I know what works and what doesn't. And then we started really growing as a company. We picked up the One Car Y films and many other big films, and of course the release of Metropolis was huge for us, and other things that we did in those early days. It's so crazy because when I started working for Kino, DVD had just been introduced by Warner Brothers on discs, and then Image had a couple of our titles on DVD. So I was dealing with VHS at that time. And then eventually, we got into DVD, and the rest is history, So.
And you grew up in New York, right? So you guys have probably crossed paths like physically, like going to Kim's Video and.
Definitely. I was, thinking about when Kim's opened. So I grew up in Soho before it turned into a Sur La Table.
Yeah.
And no shade to Sur La Table. I love it. when the video store opened, it gave me a sense of freedom that I had never had as a kid growing up in the late 70s and 80s in New York, because truthfully, it was not the safest neighborhood in those days. And I always say, like, suburban kids had bikes. I had the video store and the movie theater. So I had grown up with movie theaters within walking distance. But when the video store opened, it was completely different because I could go there. It was right across the street from my house. And my video store is the late, great Rare Bird Video, which I was amazed to hear that Frank remembered, because other than my mom and like a couple of neighbors who still live in New York, no one seems to remember Rare Bird. I can't find any information about it. And it really, truly, I mean, I absolutely emphatically believe that I would not have my job. I would never have moved to Los Angeles to work in film. And then if you play that butterfly game, my kids, my family, like nothing would be the same for me and the people I love without Rare Bird Video.
Wow.
Kim's, I was very aware of Kim's, but Kim's was not as tolerant of kids. And at Rare Bird, they weren't like, you know, they weren't babysitters, but they're pretty like ambivalent about.
They let you hang out.
Yeah,
like,
they let me hang
hours.
out. Oh, I would be there for hours.
You're home away from home.
Home away from home. My mom would call Rare Bird and say, "Can you send Maggie home for dinner?"
So like a first name basis for sure.
Oh, 100%. And in those days you rented the players. So I was about 4 feet tall then. I'm still about 4 feet tall. And I would walk across the street with this like huge honking like VHS player. Those things were huge. And with all the tapes like on top of it, sliding back and forth up 4 flights of stairs into my mom's apartment. And then, you know, would spend from like Thursday night until Monday at like 7 a.m. because I would watch tapes like all night long. And that was around when everything opened up for me, was when my mom bought me a VHS player. We used to rent it, but she bought a color TV for my 10th birthday.
Game changer.
Game changer. I'd grown up with a 19-inch black and white. And then the next year came and I got that. When I finally got to own a VHS player, everything was just like the world opened up.
Do you both miss working at, well, you still work in a video store, but like, Frank, like when you worked at Kim's Video, like how does that compare to what you do now? Do you miss like the simpler times of just like leaning on the counter and, you know, like versus what you do now, like in an office and, you know?
Well, I was, Kim's was started with Young Man Kim and Charlie Churchy with CC. They were, you know, the attitude that Kim's had towards customers was from them. It was very much, we know so much. If you don't know film, then don't come in kind of attitude. And the fact that they weren't really kid friendly also is mainly because we carried a lot of kind of, you know, not for kids type of merchandise. So I don't think it was a very good place for kids to show up. But we had like some incredible list of clientele, you know, some major actors and directors. And I still remember the day Willem Dafoe walked in and Last Temptation of Christ was playing on the screen. And he was like, "Oh, great movie." I was like, "Yeah, it is." So we had, so it was a lot of fun working in the video. Well, listen, first of all, I was younger, better shape, better health, everything. So of course I remember those days very fondly because we had a lot of fun running those video stores. All the employees pretty much loved working with me because I always found ways to help them figure out things for them, figure out problems. And I remember one time Young Man Kim came to me and said, "Why are you so nice to all the employees?" I was like, because you guys are so mean to them. I said, so I need them to have something to. So he said, "Oh, like good cop, bad cop." I was like, "Yeah, good cop, bad cop. I'm the good cop and you're the bad cop." Yeah, that's what he was. But that I remember that movie, the Jack Black character. I remember one time a lady walked in and she wanted to. We had brought one copy of. I would always bring one copy of like crap like Mighty Ducks 3 or something like that. And we would just to have it, so we would have a copy of it. And they would rent really well because it was a new release. And so this lady picks it up and, goes to the counter, and I hear the employee say, "You renting that?" like making her feel. She's like, "Yeah, my kids love this movie and stuff like that." Well, there's better stuff you can show your kids than that garbage. And I waited until that thing was over. I didn't want to embarrass him in front of her. And then I went to him. I said, "Don't ever do that again." I said, "You want to talk to anybody? I'm the one that bought the film. You could talk shit about me. You could talk to me about it." But I said, "Do not." I said, "Don't ever treat a customer that way again." And then they kind of slowly it changed where we calmed down. But the music department was still a bunch of little pricks that regularly would talk shit to people. And I had no control over them. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. It
was like a whole culture. And speaking of the video counter culture, thank you for keeping that alive with Vidiots. I'm so glad that, this exists. And I feel like it's really inspiring other stores to pop up and do more. Can you talk to us about like the Vidiots history and your mission and the programming here? Yeah.
So Vidiots, of course, is founded by Patty Pollinger and Kathy Tauber, who, are, as far as I'm concerned, the cultural saints of Los Angeles. They opened in '85. They bailed on the industries that they were working in. They were working in music and film, and were tired of working for men, and really wanted to go do something on their own. They thought a lot about like what kind of a brick and mortar business they would open. And actually they read an article about a video store at that time. In '85, there really weren't that many video stores around. And so they had read about a video store in New York. It was not Kim's. It was definitely not Rare Bird. And they were both really big film fans. So they put a business plan together. They were really underestimated. Loan officers were all men at the time, and no one would give them a loan. They really struggled. They put it together just piece by piece, and then opened, and almost overnight instant success, largely because they were super friendly and hospitable. They never viewed themselves as cinephiles with a capital C. They viewed themselves as film lovers, and they wanted to share something with the community. So they opened in a very unique way, and I think it's a lot of why we had the longevity that we had, because they didn't just open as a transactional space. So they were like hosting film screenings with a little pull-down screen and a little projector, and they were bringing musicians in off of the Venice Boardwalk to play on a random like Tuesday night. They kept the prices low. Except on the late fees, which is where they made a whole heap of cash. But they built the business. They were not nonprofit then, but the way that they were building the business was very much in the spirit of a nonprofit organization that was super community based. They too would quietly, they quietly could have opinions about what people were renting. For a long time, there was a certain children's franchise starring two young twins that they resisted for a long time. And then when they realized that their extremely hip young customers were growing into parents and families, they had to start stocking stuff that originally they probably would not have. And they love to talk about when the Coens came in and were renting Blue's Clues every weekend. But they also put together a collection that was unlike anything that anybody else had at the time. They were finding video art. They were connecting with artists' communities in Los Angeles. So if you made a film and you didn't get distribution, or you didn't know what to do with it, it could be a 20-minute experimental short. They were very known to take things in. Wow. And it led to a very, very rare and culturally rich and valuable collection, which we still have. Awesome. Our VHS is now pretty rare, and especially as streaming starts to gobble up physical media, although I would say we are in a beautiful moment for physical media that certainly I had hoped for but did not expect. But when I came to Vidiots, it was a pretty grim time. And the minute I walked in, actually it was the music section behind me that made me really realize.
Yeah, this punk section is amazing.
Yeah.
Anyone who stops in has to check out this punk section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I realized that the documentary section alone was a third of the store and that about a third of that was dedicated just to music, so that like Zydeco has its own section at Vidiots, I was like, okay, I have to be part of this. And then meeting Patty and Kathy, I was like, there was no way I was going to let their legacy drift away, even though at that time it felt like I was like jumping on board the Titanic with no like life vest. But here we are, so it worked out.
So it's been like a community, like a really tight-knit community from the start, you know, inviting people in, showing screenings, and even like really championing like film lovers and filmmakers, local filmmakers. That's really awesome. Yeah,
since the beginning. I mean, really, everything that we're doing here is an extension of what Patty and Kathy had set up in the 80s. And all the relationships they built with people like Frank, like, you know, you're really in an ecosystem that ultimately just really cares not just about the artists and not just about that relationship, but about creating access for people. For anybody from the littlest kid who does want to watch Blue's Clues and Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen to the most astute cinephile. I actually fell in love with the video store because I was not renting movies for kids. I was renting this over and over and over and over again, and eventually stole it from the video store and then kept it hidden under my bed because this was definitely not appropriate for whatever I was, 10, 12 years old when it came out. So, but I have a stack of movies sitting here with me that made me who I am. And it was very much because there were kind of no rules in the video store. Yeah. And, you know, you picked something up because it appealed to you visually.
Yeah. Well, I know that I've asked you this question a lot. I know how you've kind of seen like the landscape change and the industry change, but how have you seen the physical media industry change? You mentioned that it's kind of like having its comeback, but in your time here, how has it shifted and evolved? Well,
everything we did here, which was really ambitious, you know, we started... we got this building and started the idea of renovations, you know, 4 months before COVID started, and then had to raise all of the money for the capital campaign and do all of the construction during a pandemic. So, again, it was a pretty bleak time. And, I had almost no hope. I was a dog with a bone, more than, you know, the sunshiny, hopeful space. I was not particularly hopeful at that time, but I knew from living in LA and where we're located in Northeast LA that the theater would do well. And I knew that ultimately the revenue streams to keep this alive would be the theater, beer and wine and food. So my expectations of what would happen here when we opened were not high. I didn't care. The whole idea of running this as a nonprofit space was that this never had to make any money. This never had to perform. If 5 people a week walked in, it was going to be worth it to keep it running. And then we'd hoped that it would perform well. And on the day we opened, June 1st, 2023, we broke every rental record from 1985 until we closed in 2017 in Santa Monica. And we have since broken that record over and over and over again to the point where we're now renting over 1,200 movies a week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've had to make more room in the video store for the titles that are rented out, for the boxes that are rented out, than we ever anticipated. And I do think it's has to do with Kino and Criterion and Shout and Vinegar Syndrome and all of these companies. And on the other side, some of the video stores that have just really toughed it out, and some of the video stores that are popping up and are getting really creative and doing new things. Here in LA, we have a new video store called Be Kind. And in Baltimore, there's Beyond Video. This is not just a singular story. This is a movement. And whether or not we realize we're all connected, we really are.
Yeah. And actually, I want to ask both of you guys this. Congrats, by the way, on the LA Times coverage about Gen Z and physical media. So, why do you think Gen Z is, having this moment with physical media? Do you think it's a fleeting moment, or do you think really it's a long-term kind of trend that it's back and it's really catching on?
Frank,
I know I've sort of talked to you about this, but I'd love to hear both of y'all.
It's I'm happy to see the enthusiasm of the younger generation. We had I would say the millennials were not very much into collecting and stuff like that, but I think Gen Z has shown that they're into it, and I think a lot of filmmakers coming out and defending and talking about how great physical media is. And I've said that the last couple of times I've gone to the Saturn Awards and I picked up our award, I always got a cheer when I said "Long live physical media." That's also the crowd, all people that are in the movie business. If you go to a show like the Saturn Awards, I would say 90% of them are young actors and actresses because they are giving awards to a lot of them, and these are for little sci-fi shows and stuff like that, which they're probably not going to get any kind of Emmy awards for and stuff like that. So they all show up in person.
Yeah.
So to get them to actually cheer and celebrate my comment of long live physical media, it's very nice to see. So.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the human element. I mean, at least here, sales are a little bit different than rentals because you have to actually show up in person. And so what we see here are, I will say, Gen X was very much behind this project. That was I think Gen X never wanted this to go away. I think, so I got to give a shout out to my people, but I do think that, and I think millennials actually, we see a lot of millennials here. I mean, our team is mostly millennials, our core director team, and I hope I'm saying that right, and I'm not aging all of you guys. I think I'm right. You're all millennials, right? Yeah. But I think that for those people, they were kids when video stores were thriving. I mean, Vidiots' best year financially was 2003. So I think that there was, I sometimes describe walking into the video store for the first time as getting a hug from an old friend. But then that blossoms into a new relationship completely. This is not a museum. This is not something that we just tacked onto the theater for nostalgia's sake.
Right.
This is an active business. And I do think that younger people have been really without their say, without their input, just kind of forced into a world that's very isolating through their little teeny tiny devices.
Yep.
And I think that they're very hungry, especially post-pandemic, for human interaction. And even if you're only coming in the store for 15 minutes, you're still going to have a conversation with someone. It's almost unavoidable. You can't walk in here and not have some kind of human interaction, even for the shyest person.
And it's with like-minded people who have the same shared passion.
100%.
Who are also probably, it's like a bunch of shy kids getting together who are able to really finally open up and talk about what they love. And also, if you just look at one shelf or a quarter of a shelf on one of these aisles, you'll see that you can't find this on streaming.
No.
You're not going to find this anywhere else.
No.
So if you want to watch a Gigi Allen documentary, where are you going to see that?
Where
Netflix is not showing that. So you come to a place like this.
Yeah. And now the really fun piece of this is that, and this happened almost immediately once we opened, we're seeing families come in. So they were coming in with 2-year-olds. Now those kids are 5. They were coming in, they've seen their first movie in the theater in the Eagle, but they have no idea that this is a unique experience for them. We have a couple of little kids who call this my video store.
Oh my!
They say, "Oh, Vidiots is my video store." That is a miracle in 2026, and
yes.
it's a replicable miracle. This really is a blueprint for what could happen around the country, which is, quite frankly, what we're really interested in looking at for expansion.
Oh, awesome.
Is to figure out how to help other people do this around the country, because it works.
That's a really great mission. I'll have to put you in touch with, there's a local video store called Future Shock Video in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I
put us in
Do you
touch.
know of them?
I don't, and I'm so glad. Every time I hear of a new video store, well, they're new to me, I immediately want to make contact. That I think is the thing that lights all of us up the most here is watching an audience get to really experience something in the Eagle, and then connecting with other people who are like us around the country who are in this battle for good.
Yeah, I love that you're kind of recreating, like, growing up at a video store for, like, these newer generations. I want my daughter to grow up with a video store and be able to, like, go and hang out, like, just like I did.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah.
Frank, do you think that more brick and mortar stores, more video stores, in the long run, maybe initially it's like, oh, that's just going to be competition for, like, a retailer like us. But I think in the long run, it can only help, right? If we create more demand for physical media and more.
I think Vidiots did the non-for-profit, and I think Scarecrow Video in Seattle also did the same thing. That's why they're still around. I wish there was a couple of the New York stores that would have done that. There were some really good. Kim's was a 4 or 5 video store chain, so it was they were a little bit bigger. But when it comes to there were some really nice little video stores. Like my neighborhood in Flushing when I was a little kid in Queens was like a little corner store that carried like 200, 300 titles, and we would regularly go in there, rent stuff. I remember the public library rented videos, and as a teenager, I was able to rent R-rated movies. A lot of the things like I don't think I should have been watching things like Visconti's The Damned or stuff like that. but hey, they rented it to me, and I took it home and I would record it. And what I would do is I would take him home. I had 2 VHS players, and I would make a copy of it, and then watch it whenever I can, and then take it back. So I used to have copies of a lot of films, and then getting used to that, understanding that you need to record it on SP for it to look good, because you could put 4 movies on one tape, but it's going to look like crap. So that was the old days. And you mentioned filmmakers and stuff like that, but we in New York at Kim's Video, we had like Beth B's films and Richard Kern and Nick Zed and even Chantal Ackerman. She lived in the neighborhood, so she would bring a lot of her films in these little black and white boxes, and we would carry it for rent and for sale. And the sale was always like on consignment. We would, like, whatever we sold it for, we would split it with them. We did that also with collectors. I think in those days, a lot of the Disney releases were limited editions, so when they went out of print, they cost $300-400. So we would carry like titles like Cinderella and stuff like that in the glass case for $400 or $300, and when it's sold, we would split the person that lent it to us would come and just collect their money. So we had the employees' picks was always a lot of fun. When we did those, I always told people, I don't want to see The Godfather and Clockwork Orange on here. Okay, pick something that is rare, that you know about, that you love, something really small. Something that hasn't rented at all, because that's the whole idea for that. And it was a lot of fun to do that, And then people wanted to meet you because they rented it and they really loved it, and they were like, "Can I meet this person?" And so that was I remember one time my assistant left early for batting practice. He was doing baseball. He was on the baseball team, and Drew Barrymore came and wanted to meet him because he had picked her film. And so the next day when I told him, he was like, "God damn it, I had to leave early." So I was like, "Yeah, you had a chance to meet Drew Barrymore." I did. I talked to her, but when we had that, it was pretty crazy. You know, we would have Brad Pitt and Gwyneth Paltrow come in, and some major stars, so if you just looked at the people that rented at Kim's Video, there was like some major names there, just like our clientele, you know. So
that was the same.
It was a lot
in
of
LA.
fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
a lot of.
there are times where Patty and Kathy will like offhandedly mention somebody who was renting, and I would be like, "You never told me that before." Like, yeah. I mean, a lot of people who, you know, a lot of filmmakers who were, you know, at UCLA, or they had moved here, or they were born and raised here and they were becoming filmmakers. A lot of people we hear more often than not. You know, I went to USC, I went to UCLA, but Vidiots was really my film school. Benicio del Toro was just in and told us this beautiful story about really how he kind of wandered in after seeing the 400 Blows, I think in a movie theater here in LA, and then wandered in and just started going down this rabbit hole. I mean, he used to rent sections at a time. We were getting ready to close in Santa Monica. It was really, really depressing. I mean, we were like down on the floor. Patty and Kathy and I were in the back office, as we usually were at that time, just like trying to like figure out what the fuck to do. Excuse my language. And I don't think there were kids watching. And all of a sudden, one of the clerks pops in and says, "Hey, Alejandro Iñárritu is out there. You should go talk to him." And I said, Kathy, you got to do it. Because he was a pretty regular customer, I think, at that time. I said, you got to go do it, go do it, go do it. So they go out there, and he asked how things are going. And at that point, Patty and Kathy just could not fake it anymore. And they were like, honestly, not well. Yeah. Like, there's no money left. The rent's about to go up. Santa Monica's radically changed. There's really no way for us to do this. And we knew we were already going to close at that point. We just hadn't announced it yet. And he gives them this stirring, beautiful, emotional speech about how anything that is difficult is worth pursuing. And all I could think of listening from the other room was like Patty and Kathy and I in like, you know, like furs and like bear, like, you know, carcasses in the woods, like hiking through the woods in the cold, icy streams with like bags of tapes and DVDs on our backs. And I honestly think it had a lot to do with why we were like, okay, another day, we got to do this another day.
He saved Vidiots.
Maybe he helped save Vidiots. It was just, all of those things were something like that would happen every day. Or, you know, during the Capitol campaign, we would be just flat on our asses. There would be no more money. I would think we're going to run out. There is no more money left. Our construction crew, our architects, everybody was hanging on with us, but it was going to hit a moment where like there was nothing left. And we didn't have huge donors. None of us are trust funders. Like there was no way to keep going. And then someone would just send us a DM, or you know, someone would donate like another $500 or $1,000 that day just to keep going. Or we would post a picture of one of the sections here in the video store, and someone would say, "Oh my God, I remember Vidiots. I loved Vidiots." And it would just give you like a little more juice, a little more gas in the tank to keep going. And it's true, the Vidiots is our revenant.
Okay, can we pause there for 1 sec?
Yeah.
You tucked your hair behind your ear.
Ah.
There we go. All right. Amanda is here now. Do you want to go through Maggie's like video store pics?
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay. Hi. Okay.
Yes. So tell me about, so these are the picks that, these are the films that you most associate with video stores growing up?
Yeah,
Tell
movie
us about
theaters.
that.
Yeah, so these are the movies that I think, these are from my pick section here, Vidiots. And, you know, some of them are video store movies and some are movie theater movies. So Desperately Seeking Susan, shot in my neighborhood, watched it getting shot as a kid.
Oh, wow.
You know, New Yorkers knew who Madonna was a lot earlier than other people did. Just was a seminal movie and definitely stole this from the video store. Paris, Texas was, again, a movie. No, this was not made for me. I think I was 9 maybe or 10 when this came out. This was not made for a kid, but my mom didn't want to pay for babysitters, and so she just dragged me. I think I saw this definitely at Film Forum. Shout out to my hometown movie theater. And this was the first time I understood really intimately empathy for a really damaged character. That I could relate to someone who was nothing like me and probably was not a very good person. But this is when I fell in love with Harry Dean Stanton, who I'm still in love with. The Third Man is my favorite movie of all time. I also discovered this
one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah,
too, without a doubt, so.
Yeah. This is the movie that defines what makes my favorite movie or my favorite kind of movie, which is that it has everything in it. There is romance, there is mystery, there is a lot of dark comedy and humor. It's just a perfect movie, way ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time. The score, the cinematography, everything else. That's the film I watched on a Friday afternoon. That I said I want to be a filmmaker. I remember that was the one when I watched. That was the movie for me. So
I watched this actually by myself at the New Art Theater right after I moved to LA. I was really lonely. I would just drive around, like going to movie theaters. And I had never seen it, actually. This was not a video store movie for me. This was a movie theater movie for me. And it just like radically changed everything for me. I just was like, I do want to stick in this industry. I want to do this. I wanted everybody to see The Third Man. I wanted everybody to know what this movie was, which was like how I felt the first time I saw E.T. when I was 6. I wanted everybody to see that movie so I would have people to talk to about it. So that's that. Eddie Murphy, we've already discussed the great Eddie Murphy, who I think is the reason why I have such a foul sense of humor. And then the penultimate, Hope and Glory, the John Borman movie, that I am perpetually shocked more people don't know. I absolutely rented this because of the image of a child running from a bombed out house and running through the bombed out streets of London, and he's so happy. And I wanted to know what that movie was. And again, it completely, radically altered my life. I made everybody I knew watch this movie on VHS. It is one of the best movies that's ever been made. And again, it's that video store experience because you can introduce someone to something they'd never heard of or seen. I have introduced some of the most astute, talented filmmakers and cinephiles to this movie. And I get emails saying like, thank you, I had no idea. But if you want a little shot of hope in desperate, dark times, this is the movie.
Amazing. Great picks. Just
yeah, I remember that opened around the same time as Spielberg's Empire of the Sun. And they're both about kids during World War II. And the difference was Hope and Glory was like, this kid was kind of having fun. He just, it was a much more. I at that time I felt it was the better film, and I remember. And don't get me wrong, the Spielberg film is really beautiful. It's really well done, but Hope and Glory is like much better film, I think. So
yeah, I mean, it's the best. It's the best. It's the best combination of something that is memoir and very specific about a very specific time and place, but it is absolutely relatable to anybody who has ever been a child, which is all of us.
Is it like about finding joy in the darkest times?
Yeah, it's John Borman's memoir about growing up middle class in a London suburb, when a lot of kids got shipped off to Australia to avoid, what parents thought was certain death. And the kids almost get shipped off, and then they stay. And it has one of the best ensemble casts of all time. It is so funny, and it's very much about the ways in which children have a completely different experience than adults do, because they see joy and play everywhere. And it's a magical film. It's perfectly written. There is no fat on that bone. It's a perfect movie.
Great picks.
Thanks.
I haven't seen that one. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. Yeah.
And head to the Maggie Mackay section.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're planning to release Desperately Seeking Susan on 4K later this year. So.
We will be your first purchasers. We love it. And we've had Rosanna here. We danced with Rosanna during the credits.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I interviewed her a couple of times for films of hers that we picked up. She's really great. So
yeah, she's the best. It's the best.
Well, thanks for sharing those.
Thank you.
Should we? So I guess I don't know how we've never had like people come in like rotating in. So
multiple guests.
Do you want to like stay and just have people join? Do you want to swap out or how?
Yeah. Sorry.
Should we take a quick break? We're joined here now by Amanda Salazar, Director of Programming, and Saila Reyes, Director of Marketing, and of course, you remember Maggie Mackay, Executive Director. So this is like a pretty core team at Vidiots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
This is our programming team.
That's great.
This Kat Schechter, who is our programming manager. She's not here.
Well, we miss her. We wish she were here. Do you want to tell us about your involvement with Vidiots when you joined, and a little bit about like what you're involved in terms of the programming?
You want to kick that off, Sila?
Sure. So I am a child of Vidiots. I went to Vidiots as a kid, and when I got the bat signal that Vidiots needed help, it was just Maggie Mackay and half another person. And I went, yes, I will dedicate my entire life to something that doesn't exist yet, because I really want it to come back. And this building had no ceiling. It had kind of a ceiling. There were wires hanging from it. It had no floor. The collection had been in storage for years. It seemed impossible, but not to us, because we just believed in it a lot. So that is how I joined on the team, helping with marketing. To let everyone know that we were going to exist again and that they should give us money. we needed it. And now I am doing all of the marketing. Everything that you see on screen that is not a film, it comes from our team. And I'm part of the programming team with these two legends who just let me give my 2 cents.
More than let you.
Yes. And we're all luckier for it, is what I will say. Sila has wonderful taste in movies.
Thank you.
I'll just, I wanted Sila to go first because, again, her story is so beautifully connected to the history of the video store. And I feel lucky as probably more of a newer member of the team. I have, first and foremost, as I'm sure many people are, like, been a huge fan and admirer of Maggie. She's a powerhouse in kind of every position that she's had, specifically within film programming and advocating for independent cinema. So I've known Maggie for some time, and I feel lucky enough to have joined the team in a moment of transition and really was embraced and kind of brought in to kind of work on this role and as it was kind of created, and really help kind of lead the team and community in, I would say, in collaboration with these two. And like I said, our larger team. But I come from a background in film curation at film festivals. I've done programming for art house theaters and also digital distribution. So it's like both future and past of like repertory and, you know, current work. And it kind of all comes together really nicely here at Vidiots.
Amanda is being really, they're both being really modest. This one jumped onto the Titanic, and then Amanda didn't just come to us in a moment of transition. We very tragically lost Doug Jones, who is also a legend in film programming all over the country, and it was my best friend, and had needed to sort of get out of his situation, and so he came out here to help us open Vidiots, and he passed away. And Amanda, after 6 years of being harassed by me to come and work for us, even though we had no money, she'd be like, "But do you have any money to pay me?" And I'd be like, "Not yet." But honestly, in a very bittersweet, more bitter than sweet, but sweet, because we did end up working with Amanda when Doug came in to help us open Vidiots. He did the first wave of programming here. We never would have opened without him. He set us up for success. Sila ran with that and was able to really almost immediately get Vidiots on the radar and in the sort of public consciousness. And so when we did find ourselves in this terrible moment of crisis, as Doug would say, movie theaters never close. And we did close for a few days, but we didn't know what to do. And Amanda really just honestly stepped in, threw herself in, and said, "I can help you." And then I said, "Okay, I don't want to take advantage of this incredibly sad moment, but I'm going to." And that is how.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little more than just a moment of transition. She saved us. Both of these women saved us.
It seems like, yeah, this team here has really like steered the ship through some choppy waters.
Yeah.
And now it's smooth sailing. Well, it seems like it's smooth sailing.
As long as the industry doesn't collapse, we're going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to be in good shape no matter what, because I think that the more that we talk about the industry and the state of flux that it's in, it's like giving away the power that we've built and like that you championed for decades. This community is bigger than the industry. The city is bigger than the industry. And our love for film and movies is so beyond this local tech-driven dystopia that we're finding ourselves in. So I think there's a lot more hope than we're willing to acknowledge, because everyone's so scared, and understandably.
Yeah.
But like what we feel in that theater, what we feel in this video store, it goes so beyond permission from a group of men who are telling us what we can and cannot show and enjoy.
I just got goosebumps. I know. Oh, I love that. I think it's at the core of it. It's just the love of film and the love of the community. And I think that it aligns very well with like Kino Lorber too. Like that's truly like our North Star as well. So I wanted to ask all of you, do you have personal collections? And if so, can you tell us about your collections? Like, did you always collect, or is it something you came back to in recent years?
I would say that I'm someone, and I know this is because I grew up in a video store, I never really collected because I had the attitude that I could have access to kind of anything, and I moved a lot as a kid. So when you're in that both flux, collecting things feels, it just didn't feel in some ways kind of safe because you'd always have to pare it down for the move. So that I think stuck with me as a child, but then I'd always go to video stores. Speaking of, we're talking about specifically physical media, in this case around film. So my collection though now, which is to me really wonderful to look at, I will always say it's very small, but it is a complete reflection of my journey in film curation, because almost everything I own is a gift. And it's something where someone or a filmmaker came in, or we had a screening and they, loved that we did, Miracle Mile. So here's Cherry 2000, like they love this. So
we did that too.
Yes.
Yeah. Cherry 2000.
And we loved having Steve here. But that's what I'm saying. I get these kind of, when we do some kind of release here or over the years, it's so nice to see people kind of reflect it back to you, like a kindness of physical media, because one, they know I am into it. And then two, therefore my collection, like I said, is much more of a personal history versus I would say collecting from my own taste.
Gotcha.
Mine is very similar. I was a video store kid, and then I was a public library kid. Yeah. So I didn't have money for movies, but the library was always there for me. And very similar to Amanda, now my collection is like a jewel of all of these beautiful screenings that we've done, and they're gifts. And also, like, I'm very loud about the movies I love. So, like, some people will just come and be like, hey, we heard that you're, like, obsessed with Pride and Prejudice. Here's another Blu-ray.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Or, like, I own multiple vinyls of the soundtrack now because of people who come to Vidiots and know that, like, I'm obsessed.
It pays to be loud about what you love.
Yeah.
People bring
my entire house, like the books, the vinyl, the Blu-rays, DVDs, they are all cinematic, just treasures that people have given me because I'm like, Wong Kar-wai's the love of my life.
Oh my God.
Something about it.
Yes. Do something about it. I'm still missing this version of Fallen Angels and this edition.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Love that.
Yeah, my collection is here.
Yeah.
So when I got involved with Vidiots, my husband is a vinyl DJ and also a film lover. So our house is literally ceiling to floor physical media. And when I got involved with Vidiots, I was like, I trust that I'm going to be with this place for a long time. So I still have my VHS of, I have my backup VHS of Stealing Home, and I think there's a Stand By Me somewhere, but most of my collection is here. Crazily enough, the collection I pine for is a really valueless in terms of finances, which was my husband when he was growing up in Wisconsin. Was grounded all the time, and he taped every movie that was on HBO through the entire duration of the 1980s. And when we moved for the third time, he said, I cannot drag these plastic bins around anymore. We have to let it go. And we was one of the biggest fights we ever had because I was insistent that we keep it. And we were moving in the rain, and he said no, and he left them on the sidewalk. And 30 minutes later, I said, this is bullshit, I'm going back. And I went back to get them, and they were gone. So somewhere out there is a baby Dan Wilcox's collection of emotional support tapes. So that's the collection I pine for. But yeah, my babies are all here. And I know that long after I'm gone, this will be the steward of all of our collections, I hope.
Well, this is a damn good collection.
Yeah.
I'm just noticing a little bit of static. I don't know if, Frank, were you using headphones before, and did something change?
No, I still got the headphones on.
Interesting. As long as it's not picking up.
We can also, if you put a low pass on it, we can also help you with that if that's helpful.
Like,
really easy.
How do I do that?
When we're in post.
Oh, in post. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay. I think we're okay.
Should we?
Do you want to talk about,
since we just
your
did
picks?
the physical media?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna go through picks now. So I know, Frank, I forced you to come up with some as well.
Oh, how fun. Okay, I'll start. These are some of the movies, I guess, that made me and are so important to me in so many ways. So I'm going to start similarly with another Wim Wenders. I know Maggie just was talking about Paris, Texas, but Wings of Desire is one of those movies that I came to like late in life, and it is something that fully like changed me, and I think how you can view cinema. And as you'll probably notice, a through line of what I call through like the movies that I love is play. And I mean that in many forms, but the idea that you could play with reality and really kind of challenge the audience to just believe, I think, and suspend their disbelief. So it was such a movie that I remember watching as an adult. And I cry every time I think I see something or hear something new because of the voiceover that you know, with the angels talking or hearing what other people are talking about. And I just also think it's such an incredible record, like a film that also acts as a document of Berlin at that time. Yeah, I don't know. And it's funny because I must also admit this, like I came to this, I'm a child of someone who watched a lot of movies on television, and I have to then say, yes, I did see City of Angels. Is that the movie?
Yes, it is.
Nick Cage and Meg Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
That is the remake of this movie.
Oh.
And granted, also, like, it's all about LA. It's actually a very LA movie. Not as good, but I will say there's a movie that when you see it as a kid, I was like allowed to watch City of Angels so much. And then someone said to me, but haven't you seen Wings of Desire? And that has forever changed. So whenever this movie is playing in a movie theater, we've of course played it here at Vidiots a couple of times. But when it does, I make a point to go and see it. And I try and take someone who's never seen it before. That's an important. I'll just go through my stack when I go back and forth. Okay. Speaking of play, Les Blank, I think really changed me. I think there's a story here I don't need to get into about Les Blank actually changed my career in a lot of ways because of a film screening I went to in Twin Cities. But speaking of play, I'm just holding up Always for Pleasure, but he has, he's an incredible nonfiction filmmaker. His way of entering into a space and not being judgmental and kind of acting as a fly on a wall. Again, he's pulling from so many of the great nonfiction filmmakers. But he's a Bay Area filmmaker wherein I grew up in the Bay Area and have a lot of ties there. But Werner Herzog Eats His Shoe might be one of my favorite films, where there's this, the fact that it's Les Blank, Errol Morris, and Werner Herzog all connected, and then it's happening at an art house theater, like the actual event is taking place in Berkeley. It feels like so very aligned. And if you have not seen that movie, yes, he eats a shoe, and it's cooked with lots of garlic. So it's so fun. Next would be A Matter of Life and Death. Another movie that when I think of visually and I guess also historically how important it is to me, but Powell and Pressburger have made some of the greatest movies I think ever. But this movie, I distinctly remember just crying over the very simple beauty of kind of reliving and advocating to live your life. And to do it again with such play and grand sets and just this moments of, and again, another angel that kind of comes in and has to have conversation with our main subject. I don't want to give too much away. It's wonderful. If you haven't seen this movie, it's incredible, both in black and white and Technicolor. And I think it's always lovely to see with an audience if they haven't seen it. And when it goes into color, there's like this moment of like, it's still kind of shocking to this day. So now I'm getting back to my childhood, which I think maybe gets into like the real play. And my one VHS that I still own is, I own a couple now, but that I've held on to since I was a kid. I was at public television. So I was in front of Sesame Street. It was, there's videos, there's also photos of me just sitting in front of a television and in the background is Sesame Street. And so if you get introduced to Sesame Street, then you kind of move into, obviously the Muppet Show was around, but, they play reruns of it. But to me, I was a Fraggle Rock kid.
Yes.
So I have my VHS is Fraggle Rock season 1, episodes 1 through 8. And it, to me, set the tone for kind of everything that I love dearly in the world. I mean, there's music. Everything about it is play.
Yeah.
Jim Henson, I think everything he's done is incredibly magical and very formative to me. But like in looking at the shelf, I still have that tape. I can see myself pushing that tape into the VHS player and then rewinding it again and again. And the label is all like, worn down, and I'm almost like afraid to put it on now if I had it, because I don't know if it would break. Honestly, I played it so much, but
That's a good one.
Fraggle Rock. If you're in the Muppets universe, definitely check it out because it's also, I don't even think streaming or if it is, go watch old Fraggle Rock. It's great. And very trippy. So, and then this one, I'm gonna hold up the second one, but the movie that I often say like chose me. I didn't have a choice in this movie. Is
Wait,
Predator.
were you? It's Prey. I'm sorry. I'll show myself out.
It's Predator. I'm holding up Predator 2, which is also a great LA movie. But Predator, as it had been checked out, so I didn't have the cover. But
I love that transition from Fraggle Rock to Predator.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Fraggle Rock is what, you're a child and you're learning about, these colors and stories and songs are coming at you and you're absorbing them. And with Predator, I was 8. I was sitting like a Maggie story too. Like, I don't know if I should have seen this at 9. I similarly don't think I should have seen Predator at 8, but it was on television. It came up, and I will always remember like the tracking shot where there's this tracking shot that starts from the ground and goes up a tree and it goes on for what feels like forever. And when I was that young, that to me was such drama and it was scary. And then obviously you see some death and destruction. But it, like I said, it chose me. It's a film that I go back to when I'm sad, when I am happy, when I want something comforting. I know that might sound strange. I love that it's a movie that, upon even rewatching, it holds up. It also doesn't exploit women. Hey, it's possible in 80s action movies to not just like sexualize a female character. And that to me was just really, when you see it, and for me, it's just a film that it doesn't really matter what other people think of this movie when I say that this is my film, because it's a film that absolutely changed me and brought me into a world that I was so unlike the world I lived in, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, it gave me kind of a language to enjoy cinema kind of in all of its forms, I think. So yeah, it's Predator.
It really does hold up. It's still very scary to this day. And there's a reason why there's still remakes to this day because it was so inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay, my stack is different. This is why
I can hold if you
diverse programming team. Oh, I got it, Maggie. You're so sweet. Maybe I'll hand it to you when I'm done.
Yes.
my stack would look very much like your stack.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I felt that we were. Look at our jackets.
I know, right?
Okay. First up, we have Very Gordy's Lost Dragon. I was raised on an ashram in a Black Asian household. I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of movies. This is one that was allowed. It was the confluence of my cultures. So it's a rockin' movie. Shown off as legend. Vanity is one of the most beautiful women that's ever lived. Just all around banger that we've played at Vidiots several times. I'm obsessed. Thank you, Maggie.
Nice.
All right. By my daddy, Park Chan-wook. So repression, especially sexual repression, is an indicator of the patriarchy and recession. And I don't want to live that life. So I live the handmaiden life, which Park Chan-wook is my favorite director because he is the only living director that I know of that we've been able to witness a man who goes from hypermasculinity when we start at his earlier movies. I usually start that story around Old Boy. After he made Old Boy, he goes, none of the women made any choices. And so he was like, interesting, makes Lady Vengeance. And then every movie that came after, he is starting to explore what it means to be feminine, what feminine empowerment looks like, what womanhood is like. And then when he landed at The Handmaiden, he was like, I'm a feminist. And he made one of the queerest, sexiest, most gorgeous movies ever. And for a Korean man of this day and age to be like, I'm a feminist, it was a very big deal. And I'm obsessed with him. So there's that.
It's a great movie.
Okay. I mentioned Wong Kar-wai already. In the Mood for Love. There have been 2 times in my life where I I'm gonna LA woo you, but like where I really think I've seen the physical manifestation of magic inside of a movie theater. One of those times was here at Vidiots when we were showing Gremlins. We had a moment where the film rips in the film.
Gremlins 2.
Gremlins 2.
I know exactly what you were talking about.
And our projectionist had Gremlins in the booth, and they like threw themselves out of the booth and they started screaming with the Gremlins. And when the audience realized what was happening, there was like this ripple. I swear to God, when they noticed and they all turned, and I was like, I see magic. I feel it in the room. That was the second time. The first time I ever felt it was at NYU. They had a bunch of us like very annoying film kids who thought we knew everything in this theater, and we were yapping and yapping and yapping. The professors put this on the big screen, and there's a hush that goes over. And again, I feel like I saw the magic. And when I saw this movie, I was like, I think I know who I am, who I want to be. This is about yearning. It's about a love that it can never be truly fulfilled, which unrequited love is the truest love, because you don't ever get to see the bad part. You can only hope.
Yeah.
And I think it's stunningly gorgeous, beautiful score, perfect actors.
It's pretty close to perfect in like, yeah, in terms of cinema.
Yeah.
Like how many filmmakers has Wong Kar-wai inspired, right? And like given birth to.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Everyone chases this.
Yeah.
Everyone's decks. Everyone's like, yeah, this photo shoot is going to be like Wong Kar-wai.
I know. It's like
okay,
to the
babes.
point where like this new bar is like Wong Kar-wai favorite.
Yeah, I just saw that.
I'm flying to New York to go to that restaurant I do for it's just in the mood for love food.
There's also one in Ridgewood.
Oh God! And Wong Kar-wai opened a restaurant in Shanghai.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
I will make it my way over there as well. And then, okay, then we have Point Break. This is one of the best movies ever, especially here at Vidiots, especially when Maggie Mackay and I get to do the intros and tell everyone to lose their minds over this perfect movie. Just like Fast and Furious doesn't exist without Point Break. So many filmmakers owe their movies to Catherine Bigelow, but no one says her name. So I will. Thank you, Catherine Bigelow, for giving us Keanu and Patrick Swayze and
Lori Petty. Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic in that, right?
But like, honestly, this is not a super hot take. This is a lukewarm take. This is a very gay movie, and it doesn't get the love that it deserves because so many film bros have co-opted it. But it's ours.
Just like American Psycho.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, finally, Ip Man 2.
Yes, man.
This might get me canceled, but there's a lot of talk about the White Devil and how they have to beat the White Devil. I understand this is propaganda.
It's also very anti-Japanese. Yeah.
But did it make me feel like maybe I could fight back? Yes. Did I really need this when we were trying to open Vidiots and everyone thought that we were crazy video store ladies? Yeah. So I was like, against all odds, I will fight for my community. We're opening this theater and I will beat the XYZ. So it's true. Donnie Yen is a legend, and fantastic fight sequences. Joy all around. And well, yeah,
Have you seen the Wong Kar-wai movie about Ip Man, the Grandmaster? Okay, I was just making sure. I knew the answer, but
Asia, I think you should join our programming too.
I would love that. Honestly, if you want anyone remotely from New Orleans, I'm your girl. So, but yeah, great picks. Sorry, were you gonna finish your thought?
My thought is, if you would like to see more incredible movies, check out our shelves in the video store.
And then Maggie, we saw yours. Did
You
you have
saw my
anything else?
stack. I'm so anal retentive. I already put my stack back.
Okay.
Because, God forbid somebody should miss out on a chance to find hope and glory. But my stack, we already did it, was Desperately Seeking Susan, Paris, Texas, The Third Man, Eddie Murphy's Delirious, and the great, singular, one and only perfect movie, John Borman's Hope and Glory.
That's right. Frank, do you have yours?
I wasn't told to bring a top 5 collection with me, but I'll throw, because I've seen more movies than a human being should ever see. Uh, Even though I've stopped seeing movies in the last few years, but um, I've already told you that The Third Man was the movie that I watched that I wanted to be. I said when I was younger, I loved film. The first time my parents took me to the movie theaters, one of my earliest memories. I was 4 years old, and I was too short, so I had to sit on their laps. I remember that. It's like you don't remember too many things from a really early age, but that was when I fell in love with cinema, and I wanted to be an actor first. I went to school, and then I was like, no, I'm not good. But I always felt I could have been a really good director if I not sold my soul to Kino Lorber. But but I kind of did. But The Third Man was the movie that I watched, and I was like, wow, no, I don't have to be an actor. I want to be a filmmaker. I want to make something like that. And just talking about a couple of movies you mentioned, I saw The Last Dragon and the original R.Q. Warner. I'm of course older than you guys, but it was R.Q. Warner was like one of those incredible standalone theaters that we had in Manhattan. We had a bunch of those all over Times Square, and I remember seeing that and just saying, what the hell is this? But this is like so much fun, and it was like, it became kind of a cult classic, and now it is. And then I saw Predator in the new R.Q. Warner once they closed the old one. They opened it in so I'm a huge fan of those films. But when it comes to my own personal favorite movies, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly is one of my all-time favorites. I was proud to release it. I cannot think of, I don't have an actual, I probably could come up with a top 100 in alphabetical order. I have a very hard time coming up with a top 5. The Third Man is without a doubt one of my all-time favorites. When it comes to Schwarzenegger, I would say, I loved Predator. I think it's great. But the original Terminator with just the fact that it was made for like $16 million and it looks like the way it does. It was like one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. RoboCop was incredible too. I thought that was another one that was really great. So when it comes to all-time favorites, those are the movies. Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. A lot of the 70s movies that I love, and I know they're not politically correct right now. They have issues with certain things. But I remember, as far as Alicia said, think about films that you've discovered renting. When I was a little kid and I lived in Flushing, there was like little video stores in the corner stores. That's all they were. They were like mom and pop stores. They sold other stuff, but they also carried videos. And I remember renting A Shot in the Dark. I had seen Revenge of the Pink Panther, and just was amazed that oh, wait a minute, he's been doing this character for a long, long time. At that point, I didn't know that Peter Sellers had done so many Clouseau films. Another movie that I remember is Arthur Penn's Night Moves. Incredible neo-noir. There are probably people that agree with me, but I'm in the minority that I think it's his best film. I think it's an incredible achievement in acting, and Gene Hackman is just amazing in it, and also a very politically incorrect film called Prime Cut that we actually ended up releasing, and Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 we ended up releasing. Prime Cut is just insane. As Gene Hackman is the villain, Lee Marvin is the hero, and has an opening scene that nobody will ever forget if they see it. It's pretty crazy. But that was the whole thing about video stores. It was like, as much as I knew movies, I was like, discovering new things, going into the video store, renting it, and then eventually I discovered widescreen and said, wait a minute, all these movies are pan and scan. They look. So now I could imagine me watching Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3 now on tape. It would drive me crazy because it's a CinemaScope film and the camera's just doing this the whole time. So, so I was very happy when widescreen was created. Not created, but when home video, it was slowly, evolved into widescreen. And we were at Kim's Video, where we had a Laserdisc section, and we tried to explain to everybody what widescreen meant. And we had us of The Last Supper, and we were like, well, this is widescreen, and this is pan and scan, where you lose about 5 of the disciples. So if you really want to watch the complete film, especially if it's a CinemaScope movie, you need to watch it letterboxed. So Bridge on the River Kauai and Lawrence of Arabia and stuff like that cannot be seen, pan and scan. So I wasn't ready for this, but that's what I could.
Well, that was a pretty good list.
Solid list.
Yeah, and you always know how to talk about film, so I wasn't worried. I was like, he can come up with something and just like say like the most eloquent thing ever about that film. So, which is exactly what you.
Well, I remember in the early 2000s, after September 11, everything. I remember seeing Amelie in the theaters, and I remember just walking out of the theater and like. It was such a feel-good movie. So that's another movie that I really love from the newer films because, yeah. Well, I was a big fan of City of Lost Children and Delicatessen. So I always loved, his films. But and then there's in the last few decades, I don't have too many things that I think of really like. Mad Max Fury Road, I think, is a really great one, and.
Banger.
Couple other ones.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite. That was a very rare experience for me. Was walking out of a movie theater and thinking, I can't believe I just saw something that is going to become one of my favorite movies of all time. Because that never.
Yeah.
I mean, as a film programmer, we watch thousands of movies a year. You're just like, that's all we do.
Yeah.
And there are movies you love, movies that change your thought process, movies that change your life, but they don't tend to like move up into that top 10 movies you could not live without. And that was like, I remember walking out of The Third Man for the first time on a big screen. I felt the same way about Fury Road. I walked out and thought, oh my God, what a glorious experience to see a new favorite movie for the first time.
I saw that 6 times.
Yeah, that's there are a few times when you walk out of the film and I'm like, yeah, this was one of the great, this was a great experience. And Fury Road did that. I remember I saw it in one of the really big Times Square theaters where they had great sound system and they had speakers under the seats. So when the roar of the car hits, everything started shaking. I was like, well, this is different. And then we watched the film, and I saw the black and chrome one. I've seen it multiple times. And since you guys were talking about feminist films, it's a very feminist film made by George Miller that at one time, if you look at his Mad Max films, people may think that those were not politically correct. But as great as Road Warrior is, I think Mad Max Fury Road is like another level great. So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, in terms of newer movies, that is definitely up there for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I actually kind of felt the same way after watching Everything Everywhere all at once. Like I'm coming out of the theaters, like that was different.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna be like, yeah. That was a game changer a little bit.
Well, different. That was different. I remember I felt that about Being John Malkovich. When I saw that film, I walked out. I was like, I've never seen anything like this.
Eternal Sunshine as well. I feel like, which we released. Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Yes.
Eternal Sunshine is one of the. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's one of the movies I'm always looking for because it crosses over to younger people.
Yeah.
So I have 2 teenage kids. Their friends love coming here. I'm way too cringy and embarrassing for my children to be around in a public space. And so they may secretly love Vidiots and admire it. They're not here that often. But when we talk about Eternal Sunshine, my 16-year-old is the first to just go like hard in on it. And as a really rare art house theater that actually does cater to all ages and we really focus on teens and tweens, because every single movie we just talked about hit us, changed us, reached us when we were at that pivotal age where you do feel like, you know, you're a misfit toy looking for your island. And those movies, just when they come into your life, they get you one step closer to humanity and one step further away from being on your own island. And Eternal Sunshine is a big one for this age group, I think.
Yeah, I think those.
Yeah, well, another great director, Michel Gondry, was great. So
I think the movies from our childhood, our formative years, are making a comeback. I hope. Like,
they are.
For me, like if I were to name my top 4 or 5, it would probably be like Empire Records, which we've talked about, Clueless, The Craft, this really random movie called The Cure. It has no relation to the band, but it stars Brad Renfro and the boy from Jurassic Park.
Ooh.
I probably rented that so many times and cried every single time. It's like a tearjerker. It's like Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer, set in the AIDS age, basically. Like, it's a very sad movie. But I think it would be those. So that one's probably not making a comeback. But I, like The Craft and Empire Records, I feel like kids now, like Gen Z now, could watch those and really relate.
They do. We sell them out.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. Well, before we get into the audience questions, I just had one more question, or actually 2 more questions. I'll start with, like, what are you guys most excited about that you're working on right now with Vidiots? If you can talk about it.
I mean, I can't go too far, but something that is a very important callback to our recent Vidiots history, and my boy Harry Dean Stanton.
Similarly, I can't say too much, but there's going to be a callback to stuff that we did at Vidiots in Santa Monica that I can share with the entire world if they'll pay attention, which they hopefully will.
As for me, all of this, I know we can't like speak about, I live in the kind of obviously the booking of everything. So there are a lot of things I can't yet talk about. But maybe if I can go a little bit kind of like to this moment, what gets me really excited is, you know, Sila and Maggie both references of like these moments in the theater. And we're going into our 3rd year in this space in June. And you've just seen people get more and more comfortable. They feel like it's their home. They want to bring their friends. Not that that wasn't their beginning, but now it's kind of established itself. I always say things take 3 years, especially in film programming. Like, you start something and then give them 3 years and they'll catch up. And what I'm excited about is what we kind of call like summer fun, you know, in the theaters, when more than ever, and I know this is like constantly top of mind or talked about, but we need a place to recharge and feel connected to community. And to do that around movies that we were maybe just talking about, from Eternal Sunshine to The Spotless Mind, we were showing people for the first time, or The Third Man when we play it, or Jurassic Park, or, you know, that to me, like, I see a very, like, kind of what's coming up is a summer where people want to not disengage with the outside world, but engage with each other in a really, like, beautiful way. And that to me has me actually really hopeful, because they are coming to the theater to recharge and, as we like to say, refill their cup.
Awesome. I guess my last question before we move into audience questions is, what would your advice be to, you know, people curious about collecting who maybe like have flirted with the idea but haven't started yet, particularly like younger movie lovers? What would your advice be?
Well, to the youngins who maybe are intimidated by the fact that like Criterion discs they can price you out. Like, that was my experience. I would find your local video store if you're lucky enough to have one. Your local library is the best place to start. And then, like, we all love thrift stores, and it's a treasure trove of like dollar DVDs, and you don't know what you can find. And then, like, if you want to venture out into the world of tape swaps and finding community and other people, like, the more people who engage with that, the more that we can all show each other that we all can love movies and have very different personalities and backgrounds and looks. But it all starts with just being like, hey, I love Point Break. What do you have? Do you want to swap? That's one of the most fun ways I've been seeing people engage with physical media nowadays. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was so good. So, I think I'm just sitting in that moment of, what advice I would give to people around collecting. And that is, for me, I think about it as my advice is just be true to yourself and do what you love. And I think the way we live in a world that is constantly being, or kind of attitudes about being criticized or even being self-critical of not doing things right or doing it in the right way. Mm-hmm. And the thing to me is what's so great is that in your own personal collection, if that's kind of where I'm going to, it being a reflection of yourself and what makes you excited. It doesn't have to, you're never, I see this I think about this all the time as a programmer, and, Maggie was saying we watch thousands of movies. I will never watch the entire, none of us. I mean, Frank, you have seen so many movies. There's no way we can see everything, right? And there's this strive and desire for us to be completionists, I think, in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And you've got to let go. Perfectionism has to maybe leave that needs to be left at the door when it comes to collecting, in my mind, and really get excited about what you like. And then also, to me, allow it to kind of take it on a journey that I think Sila was just referencing, which is maybe I was just sitting with, but just so nice. Allow it to open doors of maybe not being so precious about it and swapping with people and letting people borrow your rare tape. But make sure you get it back. Yeah.
Don't loan it to me.
Don't loan it to Maggie. But there's that element too of, kind of engaging with it maybe outside of your own personal taste to kind of create expansion. As I'm again going pretty broad, but that's where I'm tipped at.
Yeah, mine is really straightforward. Start with your independent retailer, and start with the things that you can't live without, because you might be without it if you don't get on board with it now. Mm-hmm. You could be without it. I think we're in a really hopeful moment for physical media. But if you'd asked me 5-6 years ago, pre-pandemic, I was pretty worried. And I think don't take it for granted. Don't ever take it for granted. Yeah. Hang on to the things that you really love, or donate them, and then replace them with new things, always from your independent retailer, from the companies like Kino, who actually care. It's not about a bottom line. It's not about, this movie is going to reach, 350 people. This movie is going to reach 1,000 people. We're going to invest in the movie that will reach 1,000 people. But the movie that will only reach 350 people is maybe even in some ways more important, mm-hmm. because if we don't save it, who will? And just be open-minded. Be open-minded. That's the beauty of a movie theater connected to a video store, is that someone can walk out of a movie theater. We always ask who's seeing a movie for the first time. Water, sorry. You're good, baby. We always ask the audiences here who's seeing a movie for the first time, not to shame them, not to make them feel uneducated, but to make them feel embraced, mm-hmm. and to remind them that they're seeing something for the first time in the way that it was intended. And that is never to leave home video or physical media out, because we know that a person who's seeing something for the first time in the movie theater falls in love with it. The first thing they're going to do is head right to this video store and try to pursue as much physical media. Maybe it's not that director, but maybe it's that actor, or maybe it's the cinematographer or the editor. Maybe it's the art director on that movie, or maybe it's just, I want to feel that way again, but with something new. And there's no one better than a video store clerk or a company like Kino to say, this is where you go next.
Yeah. Yeah. If you fall in love with a movie on the big screen, you want to continue that relationship. Like if that was the first date, you want to continue that relationship, you know, with the
Absolutely.
physical.
Absolutely.
Always start with your own personal favorites, and don't be embarrassed. Don't call it a guilty pleasure. It's great to you. If you love it, you know, like another episode we mentioned where there are people that think Grease 2 is better than Grease, and they will swear by it, and everybody kind of knows that it's really not. But I could understand, and if you saw that first, and you really, so there are people that just you know, and I don't like people calling it guilty pleasure because it's not really. You shouldn't be guilty about it. It's what makes you feel good. It's comfort food. You know, that's what your all-time favorites are. You know, and so always start with that. Be true to yourself. Don't buy things because it's popular or somebody else. You know, watch everything. Make sure you really enjoy it, and then you know, the whole thing about having a collection is that whenever you feel like watching it, you can get up and you know, take it off the shelf and pop it in and watch it. So
Like they're your best friends that you can always go to.
Yeah.
I love watching films that are shot in snow and stuff like that during wintertime. When it's snowing outside, I love watching a film like Runaway Train or something like that. It's weird, but I don't know why, but I kind of enjoy doing that.
You feel cozy.
Yeah, it feels cozy, right?
Well, on that note, on that cozy note, should we move to audience questions? I'm going to just literally read them off my screen. So we have some that are for Vidiots, some for Frank, and some that I think both of you, all of you can talk about. So maybe I'll start with one that's like for everybody. Eric is asking, I don't know if you have any hot takes on this, but do you think there is any chance, even if slim, of any manufacturer featuring 3D in a future television? Niche as it may be, I'd really love it if there were a modern 4K TV not susceptible to burn in that would utilize this feature, but there is no hope in sight. Every year, I wish there would be something new at CES, but nothing since 2016 or so.
That's a Frank question.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, we have championed 3D more than anybody. We pretty much released almost every 3D film that Paramount had, that MGM had, that most of the studios that I've done deals with. So with the 3D Film Archive people, Bob Fermanac and all of them, we've released everything that we could have. And unfortunately, you know, they stopped making 3D movies, but they still sell. That means the people that have the 3D films, they still want to watch them. But we always include the 2D, and we also always include the version that you need to put the glass, you know, the blue and red glasses on to watch. I don't know what they're really called, but and the other thing that, you know, being in acquisitions and stuff like that, and you said that it's not always about making money. We've taken more chances about putting smaller films, like 1930s films, like just because I looked at it, I was like, well, that's a really good director, that's a really good actor, great cast. Let me take a chance on it. You know, if the studio's willing to license it to us for a smaller amount, we will take the chance and put it out. And then there's also the studios do some incredible work. Paramount, especially with their preservation department, they've saved like thousands of films that they will never get released, but they're saved because they were falling apart, they were deteriorating, film elements were vinegar syndrome and all this other stuff was piling up. And then they restored these film lovingly, and they have an HD master now. So, and these are films that probably will never get released, the majority of them. And it's always great to look at that list and say, wow, this is really doing something for the love of film and just protecting films that, because eventually they'll become lost films. And people don't realize that there's thousands of films that are just lost, they'll never be seen, especially stuff that was made in the 20s and 30s, and even, you know, in the early silent films. They're just forever gone, you know. So you may look at it on IMDb and say, wow, this looks really interesting, but you'll never find it anywhere because it doesn't exist. So
As you can see, like Kino Lorber, we're like professionals, but like I think like first and foremost we're like film lovers. Like Frank he obviously has business acumen, but he is like you could be a film historian, I feel like, if you wanted to. Like yeah. This question is for Vidiots. Joe Baeza asks, what's the most memorable moment or special celebrity guest you've had since running Vidiots?
Oh my God, impossible. Impossible, because every week is like a new moment where you're like, that was the best night I've ever had at Vidiots. For me personally, you know, having talking heads here who were so important to our history, to my personal history, to Patty and Kathy's personal history. I did completely black out right before I had to do the intro, and Boris Ibanez, our technical director, literally had to like push me out to do the intro. That was a pretty big one because it felt so full circle. It's a beautiful place, and we are very professional now, and it's very hopeful. But for years, for 7 out of the 10 years that I've been with Vidiots, it was just pure struggle and heartache. And the wins were wins, but they were uncertain wins because I didn't know until really the day we opened if it would work. And so that was a very full circle moment. And I will say, having Benicio del Toro here and getting to hear him gush about what Vidiots did for him as an artist was pretty transformative. But then there are also like Steel Magnolias with Boris and I sitting in the front row, and you know, we were like, that was one of the ones where we're like, 5 for you, 1 for us. 5 for you, 1 for us. Steel Magnolias was 1 for me and Boris, and we were like, don't care if 10 people show up. And we just sat, the front row was like, and people did show up, and we threw out and passed out little packets of tissues, which we do for crime movies. We just did it for Beaches, and they get used. Aww. And you know, we sat there and we wept and laughed and held hands, and it was like one of the most electric, you know, memorable film going moments I've had in my personal life. And I went from watching that movie over and over again by myself on a VHS tape as a kid, and then to get the chance to watch it with people who loved it and did not mock it, and just loved it. That was a really special moment. And I will say, watching Point Break with Sila is always a personal win. So.
Yes, Point Break. Anything I watch with you is a win. For me, yes, our guests are all incredible. Benicio del Toro, I blacked out. That was my time to black out. Yeah. That was incredible. But my favorites are, it's RRR. Yeah. Doug Jones put me onto RRR, and like he was like, "What do you mean you haven't seen this?" And I was like,
I didn't know Doug did.
I was like, "Oh, I want it immediately, Doug." And then immediately I was like, "So this is my entire personality." She has to intro every screen. I have to intro every single one.
We do a monthly, pretty much. It's like every other month now.
And it sells out every time, and the crowd knows me, and I tell them that movie is going to solve all of their problems, and it's going to just fix their lives and get them over their breakups and having to do taxes and just like the most ridiculous things. And like, as the marketing director and also a programmer, one, I'm not supposed to tell you how you're supposed to feel about a movie or how you're supposed to experience a movie or any of these things. And I'm definitely not supposed to oversell a movie because that's like very dangerous. I've sold it out every single time.
Yeah.
But about 50% of the people are now repeat people who come every single time, and every single screening they're like, "You were right." So, thank you. I know. So that's my favorite videos because it's pure joy, and it's just you wouldn't imagine the diversity in that room, and it's a movie about friendship and about caring and about fighting back, and these are all things that we need more than ever. I hate that phrase, but it's true.
It's true.
And so it's true. When you walk out of RRR here and people feel like together we can survive and we can love each other and we can be happy, I mean, it's it's the most privileged experience of my life. So every RRR screening.
That's awesome. That's a regular thing now. Like you've eventized it where it's like a Rocky Horror where like people come together and really it's an experience because it is. That's that kind of movie. That, like,
And they're encouraged to dance, just like with Stop Making Sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sound a little melodramatic, but listening to these stories, I'm getting a little teary-eyed. I think I'm just in a very like present space as we're talking about all these movies, so apologies. I think everything that Sila and Maggie just said, it's like I feel so connected with that it's, and I guess for me, kind of when I think about programming, I often call it like we're the conduit between the work, and that could be with an artist in the room, in conversation, and what's on screen, and the audience. Like it's not, and so for me, when it's like the most joyful is when I see that happen in such like a beautiful connection, and all we did was kind of facilitate and put it together. So it ranges. I mean, again, the guests we've had and everyone that they've mentioned is incredible. I feel like it would be remiss if there's two that stand out to me for different reasons, but having like the great poet activist Saul Williams here for Slam, for me being in conversation with an artist like that was actually just like, speaking of a blackout, I don't remember the conversation.
I cried.
Yeah, because I was so he vibrates at a frequency that is like you just kind of feel it in a way, and the way his kind of gravitas in a room and connection to an audience was really important. And that was early. We screened that film, I would say, kind of earlier on in my joining the team. So that felt really, wow, this space allows for this to happen in such a great way. And so many like young people came up to Saul afterwards and was so, that to me is what I'm talking about. There's one thing that I'm having a personal experience, but then I'm watching other people have access in a way that is, again, a big part of us is about accessibility, not only with ticket prices and getting access to a physical media store, but you know, the way that the room flows and the guests feel so comfortable and they love hanging out here, that then they're like, yeah, I'll talk to you for 15 minutes. And it's not this room where people are pitching a script. You know, sorry, I hate to say it, but just speaking of other LA spaces where people are really coming up to them and saying your work has profoundly moved me. Seeing a filmmaker, again, working in the repertory space, and so often, you know, this is about time and how time passes, and we get to convene with, you know, people we've lost on screen or otherwise behind the camera. And it was really interesting. It's kind of wild when I'm bringing up this story of why this one sticks out, but it's a screening that I think because my feelings around it were not such until it happened in the moment. But Michael Clayton is a beloved movie by a lot of people. I definitely really appreciate that movie. It's not in, we were talking about our list, but like, oh my gosh, Michael Clayton, you guys, is a loved movie. Yeah. And I'm not surprised. I'm just saying that when tickets went on sale and the energy in that room of coming into that theater, so many people stopped me at the bar and they were like, I love this movie. I watch it 3 times before I write a script. I think it's perfect. It's like, you know, the editing, the dialogue. It's one of the best films ever. And I'm sitting there just receiving this energy. And then having Tony Gilroy there, also hadn't seen his movie since it came out, watches the movie, and then he comes up to do the Q&A and has tears in his eyes. And I'm not being hyperbolic. He just really was like, that was so moving. I haven't seen the movie, and he needed a moment. Wow. Seeing an entire room that was so receptive, it was so on board with this work that even he has kind of not dismissed, but I mean, he's in Andor land now. You know, he's doing these things that are, you know, creating these larger than life worlds. And that moment was very, like, to me, has really stuck with me. And then I'll leave you with one more, which was just when we're talking about just on a personal level, no guests involved. But when you're in an all ages screening and there are littles that are bouncing around and they're wiggling and they're just like, you know, their parents are also like, thank goodness we have a place for this that's safe and
every Saturday and Sunday morning.
And if you have the joy of seeing or being in the back of the room when we showed Fantasia,
Yeah.
because that is also in multi-generational film, you know, like you can definitely bring your little kids to it and it's encouraged, but you have a lot of people that have saw that film and it's been with them for a long time, and having people clap after every segment of the reset with the orchestra, it just was a moment of, oh my gosh, like, what's happening in this room is so contained and very special, and it moved me. I get emotional thinking about it because I cried in the back of the theater like, okay, I watched this movie. It was my VHS that I watched over and over, and now it's on the big screen on 35. And a big shout out to our tech team because that was also at a time when we had just put in 35 millimeter, and the Boris leads our which you've mentioned now a couple of times, and our projection team like really want to operate at the highest level, and just we're so careful with the films we chose in the beginning to show on 35, and so there was also a little moment there that felt really special.
Whew. Yeah.
We could sit here for 3 hours.
I
think we have.
I was just gonna say, like, do you guys have time for like a couple more questions? And then, yeah, I'm just very cognizant of.
Make sure I'm not blowing off a meeting.
We've been talking much longer than I expected, which is fantastic, and I'm so happy about that. But I also want to be respectful of your time as well.
We have a meeting with that TIFF person
Now?
the Ace.
Now, okay.
12:01.
If we need to wrap, we can wrap.
Why don't you guys take more questions? And will that screw you up? Or why don't
Totally
you
up
text
to
her
you.
and tell her we're running late? We'll text her and tell her we're running late.
At least I'll pick
this
a
is
really
so
good
fun.
one.
Okay, you guys, also, the Moana sing-along.
Oh, man.
Let me just tell you, Moana sing-along, when all the parents get a little champagne in them because they're so fucking tired, right? Because parenting really little kids, especially in this world, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard because you have to go in the closet and cry because the world is falling apart, but they can't see that because they can't grow up in a house where there's no hope. And then they flood the theater. It's full of little kids, but the parents are the ones that are losing their minds the most. And they're all like, they get up. The kids are in the seats on the booster seats, and the grown-ups need to dance. So the grown-ups get out of their seats. They go to the back of the theater, and they're like this, swaying in the back of the theater and screaming their lungs out to the songs. It's like,
I absolutely love that. If y'all ever did that with The Little Mermaid, I would have to fly.
we do. We do.
And bring my kid. Yeah.
We do it with The Little Mermaid.
Question is from Frank to Frank. With the recent sudden passing of Chuck Norris, is there any chance of releasing some titles on 4K? And then he lists a long list like Code of Silence, Lone Wolf McQuaid, the Delta Force. I know we have the Octagon, but anything else, Frank? Any Chuck Norris releases?
I've released a lot of Chuck Norris. I've released Code of Silence on Blu-ray. As far as 4K is concerned, I don't know. Maybe. I don't think him passing has anything to do, would change our decision one way or another about releasing something. It's very sad that he passed away, and he was. I've released a lot of Chuck Norris films. I think Delta Force is out on 4K. Somebody, I think either Shout or Vinegar Syndrome put it out. I think Invasion USA got released on 4K. Missing in Action is coming from another label. So there's going to be some out there. We may look into putting out one or two in the future, but I cannot confirm anything. So.
Okay. Any Chuck Norris fans here? More Predator. More. All right. R.I.P. is all.
Well,
I'm saying.
if I would recommend one for you all to see, would be Code of Silence. It's like a really great Chicago movie where he's a cop, honest cop in a dirty precinct, and he's protecting a young girl who's been targeted for assassination by the mafia. So it's really good. That's Andrew Davis, of course, really hit it big with The Fugitive, but he was making some really good action films in the 80s, and that's the one I would recommend.
There's also this amazing documentary. I cannot come up with the full title, but I know Chuck Norris is in the title. And unless I'm wrong, it was a recent doc about I think it was in Yugoslavia during like war times when like movies were basically banned and people were like had this underground network of action movies that were getting dubbed over by like a local group of people. Do you know this movie? It is amazing. If you want a little shot of hope right now, it is a total mind blower. And a lot of the movies were Chuck Norris movies because they were getting these like VHS tapes, and then this secret group of underground actors who were just regular people. Some were actual, professional voiceover people, but I think they were mostly regular people. Were dubbing.
Oh, wow.
Over, and then there was a secret network of tape movement through this entire country, and a lot of what the documentary basically, theorizes that it is what saved the country.
Wow.
It's really amazing. Okay, so that's something very positive about Chuck Norris.
Awesome. Well, I think this is the perfect question to end on. Susan asks, I really like the idea of inspiring human interaction around film, as I'm trying to find a community of people who have a similar interest in film. I don't live in California to drop by Vidiots, but I was wondering if you have any recommendations on finding a community of film lovers for someone who isn't in a film program but has a deep interest in film.
Start it yourself.
Yep.
Just do it.
And like it can start with just like inviting people over to your home to watch movies and just talk about it. Like, I do little like salons with my friends, and I love Vidiots so much, but like sometimes that's all you need. It's your community starts with you.
Yes.
And the choices that you make.
Very true.
Find your local, maybe you there might be a video store somewhere near you don't even know about. That's like, on its last legs. Go in there, talk to them, go to your art house theater. If that doesn't feel right, like Sila said, have people over, go to your local library and ask them if they still have a physical media collection and if they would want to start a little film club or a watching group. Start it yourself. It is so doable.
Yeah, and I think if I might just say, it's really interesting because this conversation has come up with me recently. I mentioned the word perfectionism, that a lot of people are so worried about gathering. Like, we're kind of been fed this idea that in order to have like people come over my apartment or my house needs to look a certain way, and I need to have this certainness.
Yeah,
we need to remove all of that and get back to these elements, like the spaces, like going to a library or finding a room and just gathering. And I think that similar is around your home. If, again, you have the circumstances in order to do that, or you feel comfortable, of course. But I guess I would just say that, to Sila's point, I would then just also add, it doesn't have to fall all to you to curate it all. Like, the great thing about community, especially in those spaces, is then pass the baton, so to speak.
Yeah.
How about you pick the movie next month?
Take a poll.
Or you pick the movie and then it actually then also opens up you to movies you would never knew and never knew about. And it takes also the pressure off of yourself for having to, pick movies that you think are for everyone's taste. Maybe don't do it that way.
Yeah. And you can literally put a white sheet on a wall in a backyard. You can go to your local bar or restaurant a lot of like bars are struggling right now. Go to them and ask them, hey, if I bring 10 people over here every Tuesday night at 5 p.m., we'll spend money at the bar. Can we just hang out and talk about movies? It's so doable.
Yeah.
And if you really want to reach out to us and talk to us about how to open a video store.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Follow us on social media. Talk about movies a lot.
Yeah, engage with us. We're engaging. We like talking to people.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for being part of Shelf Space. Thank you, Frank, as always. Thank you all for doing everything you do to keep physical media alive, because, Frank, do you want to say it or should I? Long live physical media.
Long live physical media.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't even remember my normal outro, but we'll see you all next month. So thanks for watching Shelf Space.
Bye.